I had the opportunity to talk recently with Jon Anderson, founding member of the band Yes. In our two-part interview, Jon shares his thoughts about his latest album, 1000 Hands Chapter 1, and we discuss the impact music has played in his life. Jon is a fascinating person and, of course, a talented musician, and I'm so excited to share our conversation with you. Here's Jon Anderson. Enjoy.
Get up and show me your light, to be there, to be real, to do something together now.
Let's go back to when you started with music, because I read, I thought this was so cute that you actually got in trouble in school for singing too loud. I mean, is that true? How did you get started in music?
Well, a couple of things happened in school, junior school, when you're 10 years, 9, 10, 11 years old. All I wanted to do was to play soccer. I call it soccer, but it's football.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I wanted to do. I was only interested in playing football. That's my life, and I loved it. And school was like, oh, okay. But when singing came, you got to sing in the school choir. I'd really get into it, And I was, Anderson, could you just tone it down a little bit here? I don't know. I was singing.
Your voice carried, yeah.
I didn't know about it. The headmaster was there with a teacher, and they were messing around with a little sort of a little box, electric box, and they had this microphone. And they said, Anderson, come here. Speak into this microphone. And it was like, hello? And it came out of the speaker. I went, hello, hello. Okay, Anderson, thank you. So, wow, microphone, that's very cool. So maybe that was like a baptism. Hey, you're going to get into this soon, And my brother had a band called the Warriors.
That's right.
And then I joined the Warriors with him. And then we went to see the Beatles in 1963
wow.
near Liverpool. And that was like totally mind-blowing.
I can imagine. And here you've played right alongside them and been influenced vice versa.
Totally, but they were, sorry, but the Beatles were gods, constantly, and always will be. I went to see that movie yesterday. Did you see the movie?
Oh, I haven't, but I've heard so much about it. Yes.
Please. I went with my wife, Jane, and my daughter and her husband in LA. It was a present from me.
Nice.
And I sat there, and when the guy started singing the song yesterday on the guitar, because the score is perfect, I just started crying, and I cried all the way through the movie. I sobbed. I had tissues everywhere.
That is so the power of music. And the theme of our summer fundraising campaign is why music matters. And I think with your prolific background and a career that spanned 50 plus years, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, yes frontman to what you're doing today, you continue to surprise us musically. And I just wonder why do you think music matters, especially for young people, and where can we go from here with it? I mean, in light of what you spoke to earlier about times being so dire as they feel with a pandemic and.
Well, I think more than ever you can go, your sacred church is here within, and that's your connection with everything. And so any young people must understand that they are the powerful ones, I sing about the children yet to come. The children yet to come are the children, a lot of the children now are diamond children of the past 10 years. And I just know that the young musicians, anybody interested in music, it's right at your doorstep, right on your computer. You have GarageBand, which is an incredible instrument. Tool. It's a tool. You can do anything you want with it. You can just make music for yourself or
So
make
true.
music for other people. And then you can actually, you know, you've got your iPhone. I've just got my iPhone actually. I've got my own iPhone. And it's a miraculous instrument. You know, here it is. It's an amazing instrument. And you have to understand that, think about it, everything's from under the ground. So everything is God, okay? You got to understand a few things. We're all Christ consciousness. I read this in a book years and years and years ago. And some of the great Christ consciousness beings are the ones that a lot of us look up to. You know, like Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna, the risen masters that we know of, but there are many more enlightened beings on this world. And there's a lot more than we could ever understand on this planet. Very, very seriously. There are different dimensions of energies around this planet. We call them fairies. In Indonesia, they call them diva because they have, in Indonesia, it's kind of fun. They have little temples for trees, little temples for flowers, little temples for the birds and the bees, because they understand that we're all interconnected. So the musical idea of being young and wanting to sing, if you want to sing, you can sing. Everybody can sing. Maybe not as good as you think you should be singing, but you know, birds sing all the time. I don't think every bird thinks it's fantastic. I don't know what birds think, but I just know that music is everywhere. You walk around where you live, you'll hear birds singing. You'll hear the wind rustling the trees. That sound is like a rhythmic thing. So that's music in a way. And you have that incredible power within to do anything you really want to do. If you want to be a pop star, go and be a pop star. You know, people have to decide, especially when they're 7 and 8 years old, to want to become a pop star, like, you know, like they do. Or you want to become more interested in different kinds of music, like symphonic music. I learned when I was 4 years old that I loved Elgar. I didn't know I loved him then, but I used to sit next to this big speaker radio we had at home before television. Can you imagine that? Before television.
I do. Yeah.
I'd sit there for hours listening to this music, and I'd listen to, you know, Elgar and various things like that, Planet Suite, all this kind of music. And that in a way makes you happy to be alive and makes you want to dance, makes you want to jump around. And I used to listen to, in those days, it was like big bands, you see. Now, in this world of worlds that we have, you know, you can go to Sirius Radio and you can listen to all different kinds of music, even silly old country and western. Not, I don't mean it like that. There's a great station, it's called Willie's Roadhouse. It's Willie Nelson.
Yes.
The great guitar songwriter. Willie's Roadhouse. It's got the funniest songs you've ever heard. It's kind of
inspired by Willie, no less.
Oh yeah, very, very, very funny. There was one that you can put it on and just laugh at the lyrics, you know. There was one, I gave up drinking, I gave up smoking, I gave up chasing women. It was the worst 15 minutes of my life.
Okay, well, that's a must tune into. You know, you just made me think about something too when you said that, you know, music, everything's become so global, because you know, you think about other cultures and you bring that into 1000 Hands so beautifully with, you know, the where does the music come from, and Ramalama. And do you feel that, you know, our kids today have enough, you know, I mean, what is our culture for music? Do we need to infuse that and enliven that more? I mean, when you go to Africa, there's an innate, you go to South America, you know?
Well, when I was growing up, you never heard anything from Africa or India or anywhere. I've just spent the last week listening to Ravi Shankar, the great sitar player, with his daughter, Anushka. when he was 90 years old, performing a 30-minute work. It's like a miraculous thing to do. So I think any young people are interested in finding out what they really want to do, just YouTube it. You know, go and listen to different people, different artists around the world, different people that create art. You know, I actually met Mark Chagall, one of the great Russian artists, when he was 90 years old.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
fell in love with I didn't know his work very much, but I got invited to his birthday party in south of France. But
Wow.
when I met him, I just wondered, what the heck is this guy all about? And then I learned about his art. And this guy, Mark Chagall, was the most wonderful artist.
Mm.
And I think when you're young, to learn about an artist, to learn about music, to learn about all different kinds of dancing, theater,
Right.
it's all on YouTube. Sorry, you got it at your fingertips. So you should learn more. And if you want to be a musician, you know, there's three things about musicians. You got to practice, practice, and then practice. That's all you got to do. And you haven't got to be great. Just a couple of chords and you're happening, you know.
Practice, practice, practice. Everybody's got to remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, music can be full of surprises, and that's one of the things that is so apparent in your music. And we try to convey that to our Infinite Music students, to be inventive, you know, to come up with their own rhythms in our world drumming classes and connection. We've got, now that music is online, we have students from different parts of the area. We're trying to build equity, that there's no boundaries with music. It doesn't matter where you live, any of that, and make it affordable and accessible.
True.
And that common ground, right? If we can all come together and find some common ground through music.
You bet. You bet. I remember it was probably in the early 70s, you know, the world music started to creep in everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I heard some music from Bali. In 1970, somebody gave me a record called The Monkey Chant. It's ridiculously exciting to listen to. And Peter Gabriel was a great revolutionary artist who actually created a record company, World Music. Mm-hmm. So by the middle of the 70s, everybody was hearing music obviously from Brazil, from South America, from Egypt, from Africa, all around the world. There is so many different kinds of music, and it's an ever expanding experience for me as a musician to want to play this kind of music. Like when I listen to Ravi Shankar, I can get a sitar sound on my keyboard and pretend I'm him for 5 minutes, you know. Not very good, but at least it sounds good to me, you know. And then I add a choir and something else or something like that from my keyboards, because, you know, I've sort of learned so much by opening up to the computer and the power of the computer and letting it guide me along. And you know, sometimes you want to shake it, but that's okay. But more or less, don't do that.
Yeah,
just enjoy it, you know. And as I say, YouTube is a fantastic schooling. You know, you just pick out one artist that you like and just watch them, and then you'll see 4 or 5 different artists who are obviously very similar in connection. And before you know it, you'll find yourself listening to a sitar player from India at 90 years old, Ravi Shankar, and think, this guy, you know, it took him, if you listen to the music, it takes him about 4 or 5 minutes to find the beginning of the climbing of the mountain, musically speaking. And he goes there, and it's music that's been handed down through centuries, you know. It's like, oh, thank you, you know.
It's so incredible, and as you said, a wonderful time really to be a aspiring music maker, to be a musician, when we have all of these opportunities to listen and learn from other artists.
Very much.
Well, for our younger infinite music makers, Jon, do you have any advice that you would give to a, a young aspiring music maker as you were?
Yeah, practice, practice, practice. Sorry.
Practice, practice, practice.
No, it's not easy because I didn't go to music school.
Mm-hmm.
I just picked it up as I went along, and 50 years later, I'm still going strong. So it's as though I dreamed it into my world. I decided I want to be like Sibelius. I mean, you don't know Sibelius, but Sibelius is the most beautiful musician, orchestrator, composer from
Yes.
around 1900 to 1920, 30.
Mm-hmm.
Just beautiful music. His orchestration is just so beautiful and very like Earth Mother. You feel like you're holding on to Earth Mother, listening to his symphonies. And but that's just my experience. And when you're young, just reach out to something that if you do like um, I remember the great flute player, and I can't remember his full name. I think it was called Horn. He did albums inside beautiful places, inside the Taj Mahal. Just flute. Did you ever hear? Did you ever?
Horn. Is that his name?
Horn.
Yeah.
Horne. He recorded inside cathedrals, inside caves, inside the Taj Mahal, inside the King's Chamber, in wasn't Robert Horn, or I can't remember his first name. But anyway, if you're interested in guitar, you just Google. I was watching it the other day. This beautiful guitar player who's I think he was Spanish. I can't remember his name now. Segovia, very good guitar.
Wow.
But there's so many people from the past that you can actually watch on YouTube. Guitar players, jazz guitar players. Wes Montgomery. I remember seeing him play in Frankfurt in 1966 when I was there with my band. And so I keep saying the same thing, I'm sorry, but think about what you want to hear or want to see and just go YouTube. You can see the most extraordinary dancing and extraordinary art and the most wonderful music in the world. And it inspires you to want to become a musician, then you will become a musician. You just got to make up you got to speak to your higher self.
That's really well put.
You're surrounded by angels anyway. You just got to open up.
Learning and listening to it all. Well, you you said something earlier, and we talk about that connection that music can bring, and I wonder, do you think that we as a society can ever be at peace? I mean, do you think there's a way that music can get us there and bridge our differences?
I always think that. I always think that.
I hear that in your music.
Yeah, but when the Beatles came, they connected everybody in the world. At that moment in time was like, and I often wondered how and why. And I actually figured out that Liverpool is a port from Ireland. So there's a lot of Irish people come to live in Liverpool. And if you think about the Beatles' melodies, very Celtic, very simple, very Celtic. And then if you listen to the music of Greece, very Celtic, it's a worldwide phenomenon. Chinese, older Chinese music, very Celtic. It's only a word I'm using at the moment, but there is a worldwide in South America, the Peruvian music and things like that, the flute orientated, very Celtic. It's just a natural event. So we're all connected through music in so many different ways. And I have always thought You know, there was a movie came out years and years ago, and it sort of blew my mind and blew millions of people's mind. It was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and it was the idea that aliens were going to come to the Earth, beautiful aliens, because aliens think of us as masters of limitation. That's what they say. We limit ourselves when we're ever expanding on every level. But the key to the movie is that it was music. Da, 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 da. It was like a carrion call, if you like, where the music was something that the mothership that comes above. You probably might have never seen the movie, but if you ever see it, you'll know the mothership comes up and sings to the people, musically speaking. It's a beautiful piece of music by that guy.
Yes.
What his name is?
I would blurt it out, but I don't want it to be wrong.
He did all Spielberg's movies.
Yes.
Anyway, that was a good connection. The music is part of life and part of your whole being, and you'll dance to it, you'll sing with it, and you'll enjoy life because of it. And that's what music is, really.
Well, you've certainly communicated that and connected people all over the world, Jon, with your music in so many positive ways. I mean, as a member of Yes, and as a solo artist, that must be so gratifying for you. And it's so gratifying for us to have you be a part of our Why Music Matters campaign for Infinite Music. We just thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us and supporting Infinite Music. This has been a true blessing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
I've enjoyed every minute of it. And you've given me some great radio shows to check out, some movies to see, and I think I'm just going to go home and practice.
Woo.
Again, Jon, I love this album. Everybody needs to have this album in their music library, I think. And when you've had enough of current events and news, you need to put on 1,000 Hands Chapter 1 and listen to it.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Jon. We'll stay in touch.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Tell me where does